Fireworks are one of those things that seem easy to photograph until you come home with 200 images of blurry smoke, sad little light noodles, and a couple of frames that look like your camera witnessed a crime. Today is a simple and scrappy guide to photographing fireworks on digital and film. Last summer, I created some of my very favorite firework images, and I did it with a very professional setup. This video, I hope, will help you in any firework situation that you're prepping and planning for. In this current timeline of my universe, it is almost the 4th of July. I live in America, I am an American, and we are celebrating 250 years of independence, which coincides with a few other things of summertime. People start describing heat stroke as a nice day. Old Navy is legally required to sell $5 patriotic t-shirts. We see summer blockbusters with unforgettable characters like Ivan Ooze. And ice cream becomes acceptable to eat daily, which I personally believe is one of the only strong arguments for this season. And this is the time of year when people start playing with fire and shooting rockets into the sky. I should not be anyone's official fireworks photography teacher, but I have made some wild shots using these scrappy methods, mostly without a tripod. So we're gonna get to a few ways to get firework pics. I don't want to crazy speculate, but maybe even pictures that Pitbull would nod, raise a glass to and say, a lot of my personal photography is analog these days. Outside of weddings, which is what I do for a living, it is one of the rare times that I will bring both digital and film, just to give myself a better chance of getting something I love on both mediums. The foolish and the foolproof. These are the shots of our lives. For me, this setup usually looks like the Leica M11-P and some kind of film counterpart. In the past, I've used the Mamiya 7. I've also used the Leica Minilux zoom. Good news is you don't need a fancy camera to make awesome fireworks photos. But I do recommend something more than an iPhone. Ideally, you really just need 3 things: a camera with manual settings, a reasonably wide lens, and some way to keep it fairly steady. Let's jump into a few more things, yeah? The biggest factor is how close or how far away from the magic you will be. If you're a little further away, a 35mm or 50mm will work. With focal lengths like this, you'll get tighter fireworks, especially with the 50mm. But if there's a skyline, water, crowds, the 35 can be really beautiful to kind of get the whole scene of it. If you're close enough for ash fallout, first of all, lucky you. Second, well, go wider. Last year, I had a lot of luck using a 24mm. Unless you're shooting from an airplane, anything tighter than 50mm might be too close. Again, you don't need impressive, expensive, or collector's gear. The rocket's red glare will not pause to admire your f1.4 lens. You'll probably be closing down your aperture anyway. Now a subject that needs no introduction: tripods. All guides will tell you that you need one. If I were smarter, I would echo the same. But the small, overindulgent ice cream part of my brain will tell you that you actually don't need one to get usable images. It's not easy, but it is possible. If you don't have one, you brace the camera on whatever you do have: a bag, railing, chair, rock, emotionally available stranger, whatever keeps it still. Last year, I made several very successful 2-second exposures by holding the camera steady against my camera bag and bracing for sudden impact. Impact turning out to be a pretty cool photo. Obviously, a lot can go wrong with this method, but from my experience, a lot can also go right. Where you are photographing fireworks makes a huge difference. Are you shooting in a city with a lot of ambient light? Are you out by the ocean with almost no ambient light, except for jellyfish quietly preparing for your demise if you enter their waters? Are you at a fairground, a park, a concert? Are you on a boat? Are you on land? Are you somewhere in between, like Ariel, just wishing you were part of that other world? Location affects everything. How much light is already in the scene, how close you are, how much smoke is building, where the wind is wafting that smoke, how many people are around you, whether you can use a tripod without becoming a public hazard. Last year to get these images, I was perched on rocks, slightly above the crowd line, close enough to get an incredible view, close enough to taste the ash, a fully immersive experience. Let's dive into settings. This is where people tend to panic, but the idea is pretty simple. And believe me, if I can grasp it, so can you. You are not exposing for dark sky. You're exposing for bright, moving light. If you let that camera think too much about all of that darkness, it may overexpose the fireworks and turn everything into glowing blobs of regret. For digital, I'd start somewhere around ISO 100 to 400. Aperture somewhere between f4 to f16. Shutter speed around a half a second, maybe even shorter, up to 2 seconds. If you're braced or on a tripod, you can go a little longer. If you're actually handheld, keep it a little shorter. I'm not a math person, but it's a matter of kind of playing with these combinations to see what works best. If you want to capture fireworks in those big, long, exaggerated ribbons of color, then you need to open up your shutter a bit longer, and you need to have your f-stop probably as high as it'll go. I experimented with all types of shutter speeds, and I had interesting results at each one. Some of the most successful photos I took were around 2-second exposures, stopped down pretty far, which gave me those long trails and cleaner shapes. This is one of those situations where there is a clearly defined starting point, but in my experience and opinion, no real perfect setting. The fireworks show could be dim or scarce for a little while until suddenly it's so bright it feels like they're trying to blind the founding fathers back into existence. Alexander Hamilton. Timing is a huge part of it. Will they shoot red, white, and blue for the entirety of a Tim McGraw song? Will the sparkly gold ones only show up in the chorus of Katy Perry's Firework? I know one person who knows. Not every frame will work. Don't feel like you have to shoot the entire time. Breathe in the ash. Think about America. Maybe recompose. Check a few of your photos to make sure you're getting the types of images that you want to get. Now let's talk about film. Film follows the same rules for the most part. You just have less chances to fix your life. I recently did a fireworks cruise along Lake Michigan while testing the Leica Minilux zoom. For this grand voyage, I had a few things working against me. I didn't know how far out the boat would go. I didn't know how long the fireworks would last. And I was on a rocking boat with a 30-year-old point-and-shoot camera. I still got a few shots I really liked. They are far from perfect. I didn't get near the ash intake I had hoped for, but a few images were really fun. For film stocks, I would stick to just the classic color stocks here, anything between ISO 200 and 800. Ektacolor 400 would be great. I'll probably be using that myself. You can also use the Fuji color 200 or 400. Kodak Gold, Ultramax, Color Plus, the Portras. Has anyone shot fireworks on black and white? I bet monochrome is pretty cool, but in like a pointless kind of way. No hate. I'm open to being convinced. When it comes to medium format film, last year I did just a few shots on the Mamiya 7. They were blurry because I used P mode and didn't hold the camera still long enough for the shutter to close, but they made the archive book and honestly I kind of love them. Expired slide film meets purple hues, personifying my ability to know the rules and still proceed to break them. The biggest thing with film, obviously you cannot spray and pray. Remember how the box says 36 exposures? Horrible news. It means 36 shots. So make decisions wisely. Typically, I use the film after I know that I got a couple great shots on the digital. Again, little wrap up of tips. If you're using a point and shoot camera, keep it on auto mode, keep the flash off, and make sure you're holding really, really still. This year for the 4th of July in America, we are celebrating, as I mentioned, 250 years. I will be bringing, once again, my Leica M11-P, just because I know it's reliable, I can get the images I want, I can review in real time, and I'm also gonna have some film chaos. I may bring my MP, I may bring the M3 with goggles, I'll probably have a point and shoot situation, you know, it'll probably just be whatever camera wins the coin toss and whichever seems least likely to betray me and America. So my overall advice is bring digital if you want the safer shot, bring film if you don't mind the gamble, go wider with your lens, keep the aperture closed even if Harry Styles tells you otherwise. Either have something to brace your camera against or be a responsible photographer and bring a tripod. Expose for the fireworks, not the darkness. Don't be afraid to adjust. And if ash starts falling from the sky, just scoop it up like the last spoonfuls of ice cream in your bowl. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm wishing you so well on exploding skies around you. I'll see you next time. Cue the national anthem. Do, 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 do.